This is Andrew for the Chosen Prime with a video preview of Fans Hobby's first release. This is their Master Builder MB01 Archenemy, or a Masterpiece kind of scaled and sized version of Robots in Disguise Scourge. Here you can see the figure on the right. He does come with his sword here that he can hold. Here you can see his box. It's a nice big cardboard box. Inside of the box he does come packaged in a nice clamshell here. And he's got some protective plastic over top to kind of protect his paint apps. He also does come with some instructions. He is a fairly simple transformation overall, but he's a solid, sturdy toy with a lot of poseability options and kind of overall detail from Fans Hobby. So let's go ahead and take a look at some detail for this guy. Taking a closer look here at Archenemy, you can see that he definitely homages Robots in Disguise Scourge or Nemesis Prime. Nice evil Optimus styled head here. He does have red light piping that does stand out pretty nice in person. All of this blue detail kind of throughout on the entire figure is a nice metallic kind of teal blue, very kind of standard and evocative of that version of Scourge. You can see that overall he's a pretty clean robot mode overall. He does have his truck mode backpack, but there's no hollow spots kind of anywhere on the figure, and just a nice cohesive look overall. He does have some kind of silver metallic detail here in his legs, and just overall nice kind of panel lining in general. The wheels here for the truck mode are actually silicone rubber, and they do spin quite well. And he's got chromed hubcaps, chrome smokestacks, and then a silver kind of grill here on the front that we'll see in truck mode. It's overall a very nice, evocative version here of Nemesis Prime. As far as articulation, his head works similar to MP10, where you can pivot it at the neck, and then it can pivot for up and down. So you can look up and down. His shoulders here are ratcheted, nice stiff ratchet. The joint the arm is actually on can pull inward and push out inward and pull outward. And you can lift it up, and it's ratcheted as well. You are slightly hindered due to just how large his shoulder pauldrons are here, but he does have a separate set of joints here to kind of twist at the shoulder here. The arm itself, the inner arm, can pull to the side quite a bit. He can rotate at the bicep. He can curl his arm about that far. His hands can rotate. Most of the fingers are pinned here except for the index finger, which has got a basic curl and can be kind of posed slightly separately. He does have a waist swivel. The backpack does get in the way a little bit, but part of what you can kind of do to combat that is that he does have an ab crunch. So there's a section here where he kind of ab crunches, and you actually can pull up further on the figure and get a really strong ab crunch here in this area, and then you just push him down to kind of close up that space. His legs here have nice stiff ratchets. You can see he's nice and solid. He can twist at the upper thigh here. Ratcheted knees. He does have nice ankle articulation here. You can see that he can pivot quite a lot, and he can pivot forward and back. His toe can bend forward just a little bit, but you can get him in some nice poses that we'll show off in a little bit. He is a very heavy figure. He's 1 pound 13 ounces, so he's very heavy. His legs here are die cast as well as parts of the inner leg here, so he's very hefty. I will make a note that there will be an Optimus kind of laser prime version of this figure whose chest will open. I've been told on this version of the figure, the Scourge Archenemy version, that this part here is actually sealed shut. And I haven't been able to open these windows here to kind of get into a matrix chamber. So I have a feeling that if you were to try to, because I've tried, you're going to end up kind of breaking the figure. So do be cautious as far as Archenemy's overall height. He's about 9.5 inches to the top of his head here, and about 10.5 inches to the top of his shoulder pauldrons here. So he's a very tall figure overall. He does come with his sword here, which has got a nice clear pieces here. His hand does have a slot for the sword, but the overall kind of how stiff the fingers are, he holds the sword just normally without the need of that channel. So he can be posed holding the sword quite well. If you do not want him to wield it, he can hold it on his backpack. So there's a little peg here on the sword that if we flip it out, we get access to this little peg here, and we come around to the back. There's these two ports on both sides here, and if we just push down and rotate it 180 degrees, we get access to a peg hole here. And so if you want to, you can actually store the sword on his back here by just kind of matching up the peg hole with the peg on the sword. And you can, hold the sword that way if you'd like. As far as overall posability for this guy, he kind of showing off the range. Again, with the ankle articulation and knees, we get a little bit of the chest kind of tilting there. You can get some nice dynamic poses from Archenemy here. Definitely much more than any version of Scourge or Nemesis Prime to date. Nice, mean looking figure here from Fans Hobbies. Definitely an excellent figure here as a first release. This is a nice, solidly built toy. The plastic's nice, and just a well-designed toy. Nice, kind of simple, posable, and kind of fun. So let's go ahead and we'll transform him into his truck mode. Transforming Archenemy here is fairly straightforward. We want to begin by kind of hiding his head. So we come back here to the back of the truck mode. There's a little panel here that flips out, and that lets us take this cab part here and fold it back. And we want to push his ears kind of facing forward a little bit like this, and then fold the head back, making sure you have clearance to kind of clear the canopy there. And then the canopy will just kind of lock back into place. We can push this piece down. We come to each of the hands here, lift up, fold the hand in, and then you can see there's a slot here that matches the tab on the upper part here, and you want to kind of get it so it lines up and locks into place on both sides. Come to the other hand, we'll do the same thing, lift up, flipped in the fist, and then make sure it's all lined up so you can lock it into place. Can be a bit tricky to kind of get it so that it fits and locks down, but it'll lock and hold securely. Come to the lower arms here. We want to rotate them so this kind of metal plate is facing outwards, and just kind of feed them up into his shoulder columns like that. And then kind of like the original toy, we want to go ahead and shift these up so that they are up above the front of the cab. And you may need to kind of rotate to kind of get clearance to get these pieces up, but they will fly and kind of come upwards like that, and then they will peg together. These arm pieces here, there are slots here on the torso that match kind of tabs. We want to just kind of push those into place on both sides. Come to the back of the cab here, lift up on this panel. In the cab here are his gas tanks. So you want to go ahead and grab them on both sides and rotate them out on this hinge here, and then rotate them downwards towards the side of the vehicle on both sides. This panel now will lay flat, kind of covering up the hole here on the back of the cab. Come to his feet, flip in his heel spurs on both sides, point his toes. The legs here, there's a panel on the back of each leg. We want to flip them inwards on both sides, and then they have matching kind of pegs to hold them together. To collapse the legs, there is a button on each side. You want to press it and then push up on the leg. Now we can take the legs and sandwich them together, peg them together. Come to the tires here. By default, they're actually raised upwards, but to have the wheels have clearance, we want to push down. And you can hear how they lock and they slide downwards, so he has got clearance in truck mode. We want to do the same thing at the front of the cab here. These pieces here will also, by pressing down, will have clearance. And now it's just a matter of flipping this piece out here, and there is a tab here that matches a slot on the kind of leg part here, kind of holding this stuff together on each side. And and just making sure that everything is kind of sandwiched together. And there is Archenemy in his truck mode. Taking a look at some detail here for Archenemy. You can see that the same great overall plastic paint and kind of detail falls through into his long nose truck mode. He's about 11 inches from the front to the back of his toes here, so he's very long, very massive. Nice kind of silver painted grille, red windows, chrome smokestacks. The wheels, they all roll freely, and they actually are made of kind of a soft silicone / rubber. Just a nice little bonus here. And overall, very nice update of this version of Scourge here. As far as I can tell, there is nowhere to store his sword in truck mode, but that might someone else might find where it can store in the future. So let's go ahead and take a look at some comparisons for this guy. Robot mode comparison for Archenemy with some other official Masterpiece products. Here's the standard of Optimus Prime MP10. We've got Masterpiece Soundwave, and we got Masterpiece Inferno. You can see that the overall kind of structure and body size of Archenemy matches kind of the proportions of MP10 here, as well as Soundwave. But overall, it's just a bit beefier with the shoulder pauldrons and, you know, the cab backpack. And of course, he's much heavier with all the die cast than MP10. But you can see here, if you want, you know, kind of a Masterpiece level of Scourge, his robot mode here for Archenemy definitely fits with other Masterpiece product. Alternate mode comparisons here for Archenemy. You can see that he's quite a bit larger than MP10. He's not only just wider, but he's also considerably longer here. He's almost a third longer than MP10 in his truck mode. Very beefy figure here in Archenemy. And then if you want to see how he kind of matches with Masterpiece cars, here's Loud Pedal. And you can see how he kind of scales overall with other official product. Some final thoughts here for Fans Hobby's first release in their Master Builder line, MB01 Archenemy, or their take on a Masterpiece sized and scaled version of Robots in Disguise Scourge. You can see here that while, you know, fairly simple as far as overall transformation, he's got the build and poseability and kind of overall look to be a Masterpiece version of Scourge for your collections. He kind of matches the overall kind of robot mode size of MP10 Optimus Prime, yet he's got, you know, enough detail to make him, you know, unique like Robots in Disguise Scourge was. Lots of nice build here and a great kind of first release here from the company. Archenemy here is currently up for pre-order at the Chosen Prime. He's expected to come out sometime within the next month. If you'd like to add this version of Scourge or Nemesis Prime to your Masterpiece collection, he does come recommended. It's a really well built toy and is an overall kind of fun toy to mess with, so take care.